20 million people. The Aztec Empire fed 20 million people without tractors, without synthetic fertilizers, without pesticides, without monoculture farms. How? Three plants growing together in the same soil at the same time: corn, beans, and squash. What modern agriculture calls companion planting, Aztecs called survival. What we now call regenerative agriculture, they called farming. This system worked for over 3,000 years across multiple civilizations. Then industrial agriculture convinced us that one crop per field was progress. We abandoned polyculture for monoculture, traded soil building for soil mining, and replaced natural systems with chemical dependency. The result? Topsoil disappearing, farms requiring constant inputs, and food systems fragile instead of resilient. The Three Sisters system is coming back. Not as nostalgia, as necessity. Because it does something modern agriculture can't. It builds soil while producing food. It needs nothing external because it creates everything internally. And it's regenerative agriculture in its purest, most proven form. Welcome back to GrowWise Vision, where we uncover ancient agricultural wisdom that solves modern problems. If you want to understand how civilizations fed massive populations sustainably, and how those same principles apply to gardens and farms today, you're in the right place. Before we dig into how the Three Sisters actually works, hit that subscribe button right now. We're covering regenerative agriculture, ancient farming systems, and practical growing methods that rebuild soil instead of destroying it. You'll want to catch every video. Now, let's break down exactly why three plants together outperform any single crop alone, and why this matters more now than ever. The Three Sisters explained. The system starts with corn, called maize in the Americas. Corn grows tall, develops a strong stalk, and reaches upward towards sunlight. It's the structural backbone of the system. 2 weeks after corn reaches about 6 inches tall, beans are planted at the base of each corn stalk. Beans are climbers. They use the corn stalk as a natural trellis, winding upward without competing for ground space. At the same time as beans, squash is planted between the corn hills. Squash grows outward, not upward. Its large leaves spread across the ground, covering soil completely. 3 plants. 3 different growth patterns. 3 different root depths, 3 different nutrient needs. And together, they create something greater than the sum of parts. This isn't companion planting in the casual sense. This is agricultural engineering designed through thousands of years of observation and refinement. Every element serves multiple purposes. Nothing is wasted. The system is elegant because it's functional. Regenerative Principle 1. Polyculture instead of monoculture. Modern industrial agriculture plants one crop across entire fields. Corn for miles. Soybeans for miles, wheat for miles. This is monoculture. It's efficient for machinery and harvesting, but it's devastating for soil and ecosystems. Monoculture creates what ecologists call a biological desert. One plant means one type of root system at one depth. One set of nutrient demands. One pest that, once established, spreads without barriers. Disease moves through monoculture like wildfire through dry grass. The Three Sisters is polyculture. Multiple crops occupying different vertical and horizontal spaces. Corn roots grow deep, accessing water and nutrients below surface level. Bean roots are moderate depth, spreading horizontally. Squash roots are shallow and spreading, holding topsoil in place. 3 root systems at 3 depths means 3 ways the soil is being worked, aerated, and utilized. No single layer is exhausted. No nutrients are completely depleted. The system distributes demand across multiple soil zones. Pest pressure drops dramatically in polyculture. Insects that specialize in corn have to navigate through beans and squash to find their target. The diversity confuses them. Pest populations stay manageable because host plants aren't concentrated in one easy-to-find mass. This is how ecosystems actually work. Diversity creates resilience. Monoculture creates vulnerability. Aztecs understood this 600 years before modern ecology explained why. Regenerative Principle 2. Nitrogen fixing. Here's where the system becomes genuinely brilliant. Corn is a heavy feeder. It demands massive amounts of nitrogen to produce those tall stalks and ears. In modern agriculture, this means applying synthetic nitrogen fertilizer, which is expensive, energy-intensive to produce, and damages soil biology. Beans fix nitrogen from the atmosphere. They form symbiotic relationships with rhizobium bacteria in root nodules. These bacteria pull nitrogen gas from air and convert it into ammonia, a form plants can use. This isn't theory. This is measurable, proven science. The beans growing up the corn stalks are literally feeding nitrogen to the corn throughout the growing season. Some of that nitrogen transfers through root interactions. More importantly, when beans finish their cycle and die back, all the nitrogen stored in their roots and tissues becomes available to the soil and surrounding plants. This is regenerative. The corn takes nitrogen. The beans replace it. The system maintains its own fertility without external inputs. Contrast this with modern corn monoculture, which mines soil nitrogen aggressively, requiring synthetic fertilizer applications that cost money and destroy microbial life. Aztec farmers didn't understand the chemistry of nitrogen fixation. They didn't need to. They observed that planting beans with corn resulted in better corn yields and healthier soil over time. That observation, repeated across generations, was enough. Regenerative Principle 3. Living mulch and soil protection. Bare soil is dying soil. Exposed to sun, wind, and rain without protection, soil loses moisture rapidly, erodes easily, and loses its biological life. Modern agriculture between plantings often leaves fields bare, accepting these losses as normal. Squash solves this completely. The large, broad leaves spread across the ground between corn and bean plantings, creating a living mulch. Sunlight can't hit bare soil. Wind can't blow topsoil away. Rain doesn't pound directly onto soil surface, preventing compaction and erosion. This ground cover also suppresses weeds dramatically. Weeds need sunlight to germinate and grow. Squash leaves block that sunlight. The few weeds that do emerge are shaded out quickly. Aztec farmers didn't need to spend time weeding. The squash did it for them. The microclimate under squash leaves stays cooler and more humid than exposed soil. This benefits all three crops, corn and bean roots. Accessing moisture near the surface find it more available. Soil microorganisms thrive in the stable, protected environment. Earthworms stay active longer into dry seasons. This is water efficiency without irrigation systems. The system conserves its own moisture through design. Modern agriculture uses irrigation to compensate for exposed soil, losing water to evaporation. The Three Sisters designed out the problem entirely. Regenerative Principle 4. Structural diversity and space optimization. Modern monoculture uses horizontal space only. One crop covers the field at one height. Everything competes for the same sunlight at the same level. The Three Sisters uses 3 dimensions. Corn reaches upward, capturing high sunlight. Beans climb the middle zone, accessing sunlight between corn plants. Squash spreads horizontally at ground level, using sunlight that makes it to the bottom. This vertical stacking means more photosynthesis per square foot, more leaf surface area capturing solar energy, more plant biomass produced from the same ground space. It's dramatically more efficient than monoculture. Aztec farmers with limited land use this principle to maximize production. Modern permaculture and regenerative agriculture are rediscovering the same concept. Forest gardens, food forests, and polyculture systems all utilize vertical space the way the Three Sisters demonstrated centuries ago. Regenerative Principle 5. No-till planting. Industrial agriculture plows fields before planting, turning over soil to create a uniform seedbed. This destroys soil structure, kills beneficial fungi, disrupts earthworm populations, and releases stored carbon into the atmosphere. It's one of the most damaging practices in modern farming. The Three Sisters is planted without tilling. Aztecs created small mounds of soil, planted seeds directly into those mounds, and that was it. No plowing. No soil disruption. The system depended on maintaining soil structure, not destroying it. Soil is not just dirt. It's a living ecosystem with structure. Fungal networks called mycorrhizae connect plant roots, transferring nutrients and information. Earthworms create channels that improve water infiltration and aeration. Soil aggregates, clusters of soil particles held together by organic matter and microbial glues, create the pore spaces that hold air and water. Tilling destroys all of this. No-till preserves it. The Three Sisters system builds soil structure over time because it's never disrupted. Year after year, the soil becomes richer, more biologically active, more capable of supporting plants. This is carbon sequestration in action. Undisturbed soil with growing plants pulls carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and stores it in soil organic matter and root systems. The Three Sisters, planted year after year in the same space without tilling, was sequestering carbon 600 years before climate change made that important. Regenerative Principle 6. Pest Management through Diversity. Monoculture is a pest's dream. Acres of identical plants all at the same growth stage, all equally vulnerable. Once a pest finds the field, it has unlimited food and no obstacles. Corn earworms love corn. In a cornfield, they spread freely. In a Three Sisters planting, they have to navigate through bean vines and squash leaves to reach corn. The physical barriers slow them down. The diversity confuses their search patterns. Squash leaves have tiny spines that discourage some insects. Beans produce compounds that repel certain pests. Corn attracts beneficial insects that prey on bean pests. The system creates checks and balances that monoculture lacks. Aztec farmers didn't use pesticides because they didn't need them. Pest pressures stayed below damaging thresholds naturally. When modern farmers try to replicate Three Sisters plantings, they report the same result. Pest problems decrease compared to monoculture. This is biological pest management. Not through introducing predators or spraying organic pesticides, but through designing systems where pests can't establish populations. Prevention through polyculture. Regenerative Principle 7. Resilience through redundancy. If one crop fails, two others succeed. This is risk management at the agricultural level. Drought year? Corn might struggle, but beans and squash, with different water needs and root depths, might still produce. Wet year? Squash excels while corn faces challenges. Pest outbreak targeting one crop? The other two remain productive. Aztec civilization, like all pre-industrial civilizations, lived close to food insecurity. One failed harvest meant famine. The Three Sisters reduced that risk significantly by diversifying production within the same space. Modern industrial agriculture, with its monoculture model, is inherently fragile. Corn farmers plant corn, only corn, and if corn fails, they have nothing. The system maximizes profit in good years, but catastrophically fails in bad years. Regenerative agriculture, following the Three Sisters model, accepts slightly lower yields in perfect years in exchange for consistent production across variable years. Over time, especially as climate becomes less predictable, this resilience becomes the more valuable strategy. If the Three Sisters worked so well, why did modern agriculture abandon it? Mechanization, tractors, combines, and industrial equipment work efficiently on monoculture. One crop per field means one planting date, one maintenance schedule, one harvest date. Machinery can move through the field uniformly. The Three Sisters requires hand planting and hand harvesting. In an industrial economy optimizing for labor efficiency, polyculture became inefficient. Monoculture allowed fewer farmers to manage more acres. Chemical inputs made monoculture possible. Synthetic nitrogen replaced beans. Herbicides replaced squash weed suppression. Pesticides compensated for losing diversity's natural pest control. As long as chemicals were cheap and available, monoculture seemed superior. The hidden costs weren't measured. Topsoil loss, water pollution, carbon emissions, loss of biodiversity, these externalities weren't factored into monoculture's economic calculations. The Three Sisters looked less productive only because we didn't account for what monoculture destroyed. The last 20 years have seen explosive growth in regenerative agriculture. Farmers are adopting cover crops, reducing tillage, and experimenting with polyculture. They're rediscovering that building soil is more profitable long-term than mining it. Some are literally replanting the Three Sisters. Small-scale farmers, homesteaders, and gardeners are using the exact Aztec method and getting results. Others are taking the principles and adapting them. Intercropping different combinations. Using cover crops as living mulch. Integrating nitrogen fixers into rotation systems. Major food companies are investing in regenerative supply chains. General Mills, Unilever, Cargill, and others are paying premiums for crops grown using regenerative methods because they recognize the current system is unsustainable. This isn't romanticism about the past. This is practical recognition that Aztec farmers solved problems modern agriculture created. We don't need to abandon machinery or scale. We need to abandon the assumption that monoculture is the only way to farm at scale. You can plant this system in your garden. It works at any scale, from a small backyard plot to acres. Start with corn. Plant seeds 4 inches deep in mounds of soil, about 3 feet apart. Mounds should be 12 inches across and 6 inches tall. Plant 4 or 5 corn seeds per mound. Wait until corn reaches 6 to 12 inches tall. Then plant beans around the base of each corn stalk, 4 to 6 bean seeds per mound. Pole beans work best because they climb. Bush beans don't utilize the vertical space. At the same time as beans, plant squash seeds between the corn mounds. 4 feet between squash plants is ideal. Choose varieties with large spreading leaves. Winter squash works well. Summer squash works but needs more frequent harvesting. That's it. Water during establishment. Then let the system work. The beans climb the corn. The squash spreads. Weeds are suppressed. Pests stay manageable. You've created a regenerative polyculture that builds soil while feeding you. Harvest corn when ears mature. Harvest beans continuously as they develop. Harvest squash when fruits reach full size. At season's end, chop everything down and leave it on the soil surface as mulch. That's your fertilizer for next year. The system worked for the Aztecs. It works for regenerative farmers now. It will work for you. This isn't just about growing food, it's about understanding how agriculture can build soil, sequester carbon, and feed people simultaneously. The Three Sisters proves it's possible because it already happened, at scale. For centuries, modern agriculture is at a crossroads. Continue the monoculture path toward depleted soil and chemical dependency, or transition toward regenerative systems that work with biology. The Aztecs already showed us one way forward. We just have to choose to learn from them. If this changed how you think about polyculture and regenerative agriculture, hit that like button and let me know in the comments if you've tried planting the Three Sisters or if you're planning to try it this season. And if you want more ancient agricultural wisdom combined with modern regenerative principles, subscribe to GrowWise Vision. We're bringing together traditional knowledge and sustainability science to help you grow food that builds soil instead of destroying it.